Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? Got to get my screens turned around. Hey, thanks, Chris. I just needed a bigger hammer is what you're telling me, right? I need to look in the right direction. How are you doing? Back in the big chair after a week off and 3-day holiday weekend, the first, or I should say the last official weekend of summer.
Oh, yeah.
Theoretically. That is, that voice you hear is not John Fodorero, or John's been working on his voice coach. That is Linda Eisman. How are you doing?
Well, doing great here. Glad to be here.
Thank you for coming down on a Saturday
bet,
on your 3-day weekend.
You bet.
Realtors don't have weekends. Let me just tell you that right now. If you want to learn anything by the end of this show, a realtor's weekend is maybe somewhere in Wednesday for like a half an hour or, or wherever you can sneak it in, right?
Yeah, that's exactly true.
That's exactly, because when everybody else is off,
We're on.
We're on. So Linda's going to come in and join us this morning. Actually, she's here and going to call in probably in a little bit after the first segment. Paula Rogge, who's up in the Georgetown area, and Doug Gore, who is up in Nevada. So we're going to kind of run up and down between the Old Town and Boomtown, if you want, and give you guys a little look at what's going on real estate-wise. If you're just cruising through the area, coming from the Bay Area, headed to Tahoe or somewhere up there, welcome. This is Talkin' Money. My name's Jeff Tarbell, and we've been doing this about 11 years. Seems like 12. Sometimes it seems like 100. Sometimes it seems like a day. And we start every show in exactly the same manner. What I call a tremendous and hideous personal risk, putting CBS Radio at jeopardy of having their license revoked at any moment. And somehow we're going to get an update in soccer. And Chris, I cannot believe this, but now soccer stories are sticking in my head, and I blame only you. And
that's funny because Grant was talking soccer earlier this week without me telling him anything about it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did he have? Was there like a seizure in some part of his brain? Did he recognize he was doing that?
I personally, I think he thought that my team lost a huge game, but it's actually Carmichael Dave's.
Okay,
team.
Gotcha. So I did pick up somewhere. I was when I was traveling this week. There was a single soccer player.
Yes.
That a team spent $99 million or something like that on?
Yeah, Manchester United spent $99 million for a transfer for Di Maria.
And in your mind, is that worth? So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to put that in comparison. Who else has like $100 million contract in either the NBA? And go ahead. Go ahead. I found something.
It's just so weird. There's nothing really to compare it to. But if you want something soccer-wise, I'm sure you know who Cristiano Ronaldo is. He's like one of the big guys. He was sold for, I believe, about $10 million more, and he is probably about 5 times better than this guy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And let me ask you one other question real quick, too. Who's Zach Greinke?
The pitcher?
Yeah, for baseball?
Yeah.
So he's the highest paid in all of sports. Did you know that? $26 million a year?
No. Really?
Yeah, well, according to this chart, they were doing a comparison from tennis. I was back in New York for the thing, and they were showing, like the number 2 tennis player, what they equal in different sports. And then Major League Baseball, the number 1, Zach Greinke, $26 million. Wow. And I never even heard of the dude.
He used to pitch for the Royals. He's really good. I think he pitches for the Dodgers now.
Dude, he better be hell of good for $26 million.
But you don't consider him oh my God, he's one of the best shutdown pitcher.
Yeah, like LeBron James only makes $20 million, and that guy's like Elvis.
He should be making $75 million.
Well, he probably is when you add up all the other stuff. But anyway, I digress. Sorry about that. So what's on your mind?
This is my favorite time of the year. I officially call this the start of fall, even though it's still August. But it's college football starting. We already have soccer starting. Next week, we're getting NFL starting back up. We're getting baseball playoffs. Basketball's just about 2 months away, and I am so excited. This is like the best time of year. It's not hot anymore. You're not sweating anymore.
Hot.
Yeah, but it's not going to be.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm like, this is like the precipice. This is like, all right, goodbye, summer. We're done with you.
You're looking down.
Get out of here.
I went to my first high school football game last night. So now you know fall is upon us.
Yeah, so I'm excited. This is my favorite part, even though City lost today, and I'm really kind of ticked off about it. But good things coming.
Now let me ask you: the city of Elk Grove is trying to put in a Major League Soccer facility, and the city of downtown Sacramento is talking about Major League Soccer. So who wins? And if they both have one, where do they go?
MLS is big on downtown stadiums. They're big on public transportation, big on bars and restaurants around. I mean, there are some outside of local cities, but I can't see MLS is coming in September. I can't see them saying, "Oh yeah, go to Elk Grove."
I can't either. I can't, even if the place was built and the one downtown wasn't built.
Yeah,
I don't
especially with the arena going downtown, you're going to have more bars, you're going to have more restaurants, hotels coming soon. I mean, that would be the perfect place for it.
So what do they do? Why don't they just get together and pool their
I do like the idea of a huge soccer complex because that's part of the deal. They say it's going to be a stadium, but like outlier would be a huge soccer complex, and that's something that would be great for Elk Grove, but I can't see them getting an MLS team.
All right, there you go. That's our sports for this morning. It's a sports day. We got to mix in a little bit of sports, a little bit of money. Let's get out our numbers here this morning. If you want to jump in, we have some quiz questions for you this morning too. Linda's got one of those in her hands already. We'll do that at the first break. I've got what do I have here? Let me look. Got 3 pair of the Pablo Cruz. September 13th, Hellwig Winery Amphitheater up in Amador County. I've got 3 pair of those, 1 pair of River Cats. We'll do the River Cats first because their regular season is going to be coming to an end here in the next couple of weeks. We'll get those out. Got some round table pizza, all kinds of fun stuff. So we'll do the River Cats in the first quiz. We are going to do a little real estate roundup this morning. After our break, we'll come back. Joining us on the phone, in addition to Linda, Paula, and Doug, will call in and we'll get them on and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on up and down. Really kind of covering most of I-80.
That sounds
I guess
great.
we can cover anywhere. What area do you spend a lot of time in?
I'm just right down here in Sacramento County.
Okay. So, but anywhere in the county.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't. We were talking about that last month about, in the old days, it seemed like, you had, like, the lady who lived next door to you was a realtor, and her specialty was like that block to the high school,
Not anymore.
No, and that was her little specialty or his specialty. Actually, I didn't know any. I don't think I knew any male realtors growing up. They were all. It seemed like they were all.
Those were the good old days.
All yeah. Drive you around in their car, and they'd show you the 6-block radius they were experts in, and they knew every single person and when they were going to move and when to follow up with them, and then that was their specialty.
The internet has changed our lives.
Ruined that. Al Gore has messed up the entire world with his internet there. So, quick note. I just as you have, you may know, I was gone last week. I was back in the Big Apple, New York City. I took my firstborn daughter to college, and let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that is not as easy as it sounds. From a lot of standpoints. One is that in New York you have to walk everything. I must have walked 1,000 miles. I can say my legs are in phenomenal shape now, Chris. I know you were checking me out when I walked by there, but I've never been to a Home Depot that's vertical. Not most Home Depots it's a big horizontal plane of stuff, and this one's straight up and down. So there's the Home Depot, so you have to get everything, and then you got to carry it for the most part around because you could get a cab. The traffic was so horrendous back there that it was easier just to walk 15, 20 blocks. So you're walking down with your toaster oven and your toilet cleaners and all your other stuff. And I basically spent about 4 days moving her in piece by piece to get her into college. And I will tell you, for those of you that are budgeting for college for your kids, you can never start too early saving. And I've got 3 daughters that will all be in college at the same time in a couple of years. So, and 2, just like you would build a house or add a contingency fund to your bids for your construction, you should add a contingency or a clause to your saving for your kids, because the tuition is just the start of the expense. And you look at, in this case, now of course I didn't have to take, and my wife and I and the other 2 daughters, all 5 of us didn't have to go back to New York, but we wanted to. So you've got hotels and food for 5, and then you got all the move-in stuff because everything has to come into the dorm. There's literally nothing in the dorms except for a bed frame, a mattress, and a toilet and a sink. I mean, that's it. Everything else has got to come in as yours. So think about that for a minute. All the little things you've got to pack and unpack and purchase. And I'll bet Now, of course, some of that she can use on and on and on again, but I'll bet we spend another 30 to 35% of her first semester's tuition just getting her there and getting her in. Now, maybe if if your child lived in somewhere in California, you could drive and you could take half that stuff from your house, and here's some old bowls and here's some old forks and here's those things. You could drive them down there. It would be a lot cheaper. But I guess the lesson there is that the tuition is just the start. And now you've got the ongoing expense of maintaining another household. You have one of your family members who's living somewhere else, who's got to eat and doesn't eat with you, and has got to take the taxi around and those things. And so those are expenses that that aren't always obvious when you're planning for the college expense. You look at the tuition and say, okay, it's X numbers of thousands of dollars. Okay, here's my check, or here's my student loan. I'm good. It comes with $1,000 food plan for the kids. $1,000 food plan won't last them, depending on how much they eat there, not very long. So up your ante is my lesson there when you're saving for college. If it's $1, plan $1.50, and you'll probably be okay. And you can see why so many families and kids are relying on student loans because, and I've said this all along, this is like how much of these student loans that are outstanding, which is in the billions of dollars now, probably maybe the next big bubble of financial issues we have to deal with, not on par with the mortgages, but in excess of anything else we have to deal with. And a good portion of that expense, I know, is living expense. It is not the quote unquote education expense. It's not the tuition to the school, although those are expensive. It's everything else. It's just getting by and eating and getting around and doing all those other things too. Because if you're really diligent on going to school, how do you? It's tough to earn a living, and people do it all the time. I mean, it happens, but you can see that a lot of that expense is really living expense. I think when people call it student loan expense, it's not necessarily all education. It's all the other things that go in with it. So interesting trip, and we'll see how the New York experience goes. I know my other daughter was with us, and she originally wanted to go to New York, and then when we had to leave her sister there, she said, I don't want to go there. That's a long ways away, Dad. So if your kids are off to college, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a fun time, but emotional for the old parents that are sitting on the backside, and quite the learning experience. So good luck to all of you who are doing that or about to do that or have done that. And we're going to jump into some real estate stuff this morning too. I think what we'll do is we'll take an early, quick first break, get our quiz question out, get ourselves set up. I've got some fun real estate stuff. Linda's here. We'll talk with her and get our phone lines lit up and get our other guests on the phone. And we'll spend some time this morning just kind of working through what's going on in the market. I was talking to Linda before the show. I tear out fun articles of things that I think are interesting throughout the week, and I kind of throw them in a pile and I bring them in and I look through them and I say to myself, my God, if I was supposed to get my real estate information from what I read, I would be so confused. I would almost be probably just like, forget it. I don't know whether to turn left, to turn right, to go buy, to sell, to sit. So I'm just going to sit on my rear end here and hope that some divine intervention strikes me upside the head because I don't know what's going on. And every article, it's just so funny how every article is woo, over here. Market's taking off. Oh, market's going to die off. Oh, the rates are going to go up. Rates are going to go down. And it's just if you're going to base your decision off what you read in the paper, you're going to be in trouble. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to base it off of what you feel like your personal economy is, right?
That makes so much sense.
I mean, if you're looking around and you say, hey, I'm not so sure my company's going to be open tomorrow, or my job's going to be here, or I just don't see myself, barely getting by now, I'm probably not going to look at buying it. I don't care whether house prices are a steal or rates are free. If I don't feel like I'm going to have a job, I don't think that this is going to be good for me. And likewise, like I tell the story all the time. My dad used to tell me, "Hey, Jeff, when I was in the real estate market, he was a developer and building houses. Rates were 15, 16, 18%. People were buying homes. So I mean, rates are not the end all. They certainly can assist." And I think a lot of the run-up and a lot of the value increase we've seen over the years is because rates have been down, right? And if you're buying on how much down, how much per month, then
you can afford a whole lot more house with a 4% interest rate than you can with a 15. No question about it.
Exactly. And yet, and then my dad, he's traveling around the world, but he sent me this article. I'll read through it after the break. But look at the topic there: house prices to soar after the Fed raises rates.
Oh, my golly.
So contrary to possibly what you would think that okay, if rates go, if my payment for this house, my payment goes up $200 a month, and I can no longer, in my mind, I can no longer afford that. What are my options? I can try to buy the next house down, or I can go to Linda, my agent, and say, Linda, that house is now costing me $200 more, so I'm going to offer them $20,000 less. I still want that house, but this is the payment I can afford. So that's the conventional theory, is that you have to go, your listing agents and your agents now have to go to their clients and say, well, geez, this house's rates are up and the whole market can qualify for this, and you're going to have to bring your price down a little bit to get to attract more buyers. And
it's going to be complicated, Jeff. And it's just going to be an adventure that we're going to have to live through. It's not something that we have. Clearly, we don't have recent history to point us in the right direction, and no one has a true crystal ball. But what a dynamic headline. Definitely exciting times ahead of us.
I had a crystal ball. I dropped it. I was looking at it. It's got a little crack in it now, so I'm not sure. And that's the biggest problem, I think. I think you hit it right on the head, is we have a 10 or 12 year history, almost as long as, I'll be honest, since I got in the mortgage business. When I first got in the business, I would have been started in 92, started a company in 93. Rates went almost to 10% in 93. And since then they've done nothing but really just slide down. There's been nothing even remotely close to that. And so we have a 20-year history of home buyers, homeowners, and the general population believing that a 3.5% to 5% rate window is the norm. And anything outside of a 3.5% to 5% rate window is hell is about ready to rain on earth, because rates are going to be over 5 or 6%. I mean, we had a couple periods in there we were in this maybe in the low sevens, and there's a shock factor, right? To people who are like, oh my God, rates are 6 or 7%. I can't afford that, and that's never been sustained long enough for people to get used to it. And that's the part that scares me the most, is not that people can't afford 5 or 6%. Yes, they can. I mean, maybe not afford the exact house they want, but they can. People will buy at 5 or 6%. It's just going to take us a while of people realizing that, that's not the end of the world.
Exactly, and I think what you mentioned before too, Jeff, on it's a personal economy. The general economy absolutely plays a part, plays a big part. But if your personal economy is there where you're going to buy the house that you want and you can afford it, then that's what's going to happen. There will always be a balance between what's out there and what we can afford, what a seller is willing to sell for, what a buyer is willing to pay. There's always that dynamic, and we've got to meet in the middle to make it happen. So rates play into that. Population increase plays into that. The population in Sacramento County is going up. That's going to play into that. The economy overall is going up. I'm certainly not frightened of the future, and I don't think anyone needs to be frightened of increasing rates. It's part of our healthy economy.
Well, there's a whole segment of our economy that, and maybe one of the biggest segments of people.
Talkin' money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? We are back. Chris, did we get you got a winner there? Okay. All right, Linda, clue us in. So I'm the richest guy in the world. One of them owns a Geico Insurance, the Gecko.
Yeah.
And how much did they spend just in 1 year on marketing?
All right, Jeff. Yeah, he spent $1.2 billion.
Wow. That's just advertising, folks.
That's just advertising costs for Geico.
Yeah, if you read onto the article, it'll tell you that basically they want. I don't think that they particularly care, and I know that's not true. They do, but in theory, they don't care if they make any money. They want to dominate the market. They want everybody to have to at least think of Geico before they get a quote anywhere else. And you read the article in there, Buffett will say, we're gonna overwhelm people with our marketing so that you have to think of us. Now, you may not choose us, but you will not forget us when it comes to marketing. So $1.2 billion just in marketing expense alone. So that dwarfs most, if not all, of their competition in the advertising and the insurance world. Let's bring in Paula's on the phone, I think. Paula, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
What's happening up in the hill in them there hills today?
Oh, just a lot of people out and about enjoying the holiday weekend.
I bet you're getting your fair share there up there. So and Chris, if Doug calls in, just let me know. We'll pull him up also. So on the phone with us, and I'm going to call her Paula Creeks probably 10 times because that's my name to her, but she's been remarried since then. And Paula Rogge has joined us from up in Patty Smith Realty up in Georgetown. And so Paula, we're going to kind of bounce around a little bit and get a feel for what's going on, and we won't keep you on the phone all day long, but I do want to check in with you. For those of you who are maybe not familiar with where Paula is located at Georgetown, her office is in Georgetown, and she works all of El Dorado County, so basically in between Highway 50 and 80, if you will. If you're flying from Sacramento to Lake Tahoe, you'd go right over the top of her office if you're flying as the crow goes. So, Paula, give us a quick read. What's happening in El Dorado County? What are you guys seeing? And maybe you have to break it down because El Dorado County is such a huge area, and you're a little more rural than maybe somewhere like Cameron Park. So, what are you seeing in general up in the county in terms of activity from a buyer or seller?
Well, I normally work just the Georgetown Divide area. I do go all over. I'll go to Sacramento wherever I need to, but up here on the Divide, it's flattened out a little bit. It isn't a fast market like it is down in Sacramento, Roseville. Things, are on the market from anywhere from 90 to 120 days. So we're seeing a slowdown, but, there's a lot of inventory up here. We do a lot of rural property, so, it's the 5, the 10, the 20-acre parcels, and, with nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. Our average sale price right now is about $259. And like I said, they're selling in about 90 days is our average.
And that doesn't, 90 days, in recent history, 90 days seems like an eternity, but because stuff would get an offer like 5 minutes after it came on the market. But for me, 90 days seems normal, if there is such a thing as normal. Normal doesn't seem like a tremendous amount of time. Now, would you guys classify the Georgetown Divide area as, because it's not recreational, right? You have some of that, but these are primary residences for most people, correct?
Absolutely. We have a lot of commuters, so a lot of people, live up here and commute down to Sacramento every day. Roseville, Placerville, so we have that of our population, and then we have a lot of retirees, and then we have people like me that work just on the hill and live up here. So even though it's rural, we have a lot of communities. We have a lot of subdivisions up here that have they're 2-acre parcels, or in Auburn Lake Trails they're half-acre parcels. So it isn't like the rural, you're out in the wilderness. We have everything you could need. We have a coffee shop, we have restaurants, we have steakhouses, we have doctors, chiropractors, grocery stores, everything you would need to live. I probably go off the hill. If I'm not working off the hill, I probably only go off the hill about once a month. And
you also have the entrance to the Rubicon.
Yep, absolutely. A lot of people right now. Today, there's a big event up there, Cantina on the Con. So there's a lot of people coming through town, and some of those people just do buy the little vacation homes that they want to just come up and enjoy the hill.
So give me an example of of course. This is a little easier for me because Paula sold a couple houses I had up there, so I have a little better feel for it. But let's say someone wanted to buy something in the $275 price range. What would I get for $275 up there these days? And in terms of size of house, kind of how old is it? And is it on acres? Do I have to drive down 5,000 feet down a dirt road, or what is that typical house like up there?
Our typical house is in the $275 range. Or a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You're looking, about 1,700 square feet. You're looking at 2 to 5 acres. Averagely built anywhere from the 80s to the 90s. They're not brand new homes. We don't have a lot of new builds up here, so that's what you're looking. But you're looking at a nice house. Something move-in ready. You're going to, be able to move right in.
And how many houses right now? And I didn't ask you to do numbers, so I'm throwing you under the bus here a little bit. How much is on the inventory on the MLS right now that's available?
Let's see here. I've got,
because that's been the challenge. You come down the hill a little bit, and to find something under 300,000, there isn't much of, and that's what I'm trying to get at is for some of these people that are saying, hey, I just can't find what I want in my price range, and I always say you may not be in the right neighborhood. I mean, you may have to to move out a little bit and look around to get that first house. So
that's right. And from river to river, so it just our Georgetown Divide area up here. So we go from the South Fork to the North Fork. We have 110 listings out there right now. So that's a lot of houses for sale.
Yeah.
That includes Auburn Lake Trails, Georgetown, Garden Valley, and there is that big. Well, I can't afford. But I can get a better house on acreage up here in Georgetown and pay a lesser price.
Yeah, and I think that I think that the commute from Georgetown to Sacramento is tough. I think the commute from Georgetown to Auburn to Roseville to Placerville to maybe even Folsom is not tough. Mm-mm. And so someone who's looking in those South Placer areas or Folsom or Cameron Park, Serrano, you're looking in there and you're like, oh my God, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to afford this, or there's nothing in my price range. As the crow flies, you're not that far from all those little neighborhoods that Paula just mentioned, and it's a little different community, but there's something to look at, and that's the hard part is finding what you want. So I think that's helpful. What are you seeing? So how does what's the seller mentality like up there now, Paula? Are they getting discouraged because they're like, oh my God, it's been 100 days. I got the wrong agent. She priced it wrong. I should have painted the place. I shouldn't have painted the bathroom pink. I mean, are they coming around to the reality of what life should be for them?
We do have those, and I think in any area you have those. We just have a slower market up here. We don't have the market that you guys do down there. So, if you tell them right off the bat that's how it is, tell them the price that they should be at. If they list higher, then, once we get down to the price where we need, I'm one to tell them right off the bat, this is where you need to be. And so they do kind of come around and start reducing down and then get to where the value is, and then the houses do sell, but they do get discouraged because they think, my house should sell in the first week. Well, that market is gone, and it's been gone for a long time.
Very good. So, Paula, if someone wants to get some information from you, how do they do that?
You can call our office anytime, 530-306-2464. Or online, Patty Smith Real Estate. We're on Realtor.com. We're on Zillow. We're on all of them. So, it's pretty easy to find us on the Internet. And that's Paula. I'll spell her last name for you, Rogggy. And Paula, I appreciate it very much. I'm going to let you go enjoy the rest of the day and get back to work. And thanks for checking in with us on El Dorado County. Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Okay, see ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Chris, I'll put her back on hold if you want to drop there, and we'll take I know Doug's on hold. We'll get to Doug in the next segment too, and we're going to get some information from Linda too. And I'm going to expand on that theory a little bit about if rates go up, why house prices go up initially a little bit. So we'll talk about that too. We'll take another quick break here. I got a quiz question for you. This one's a little bit of a trick question. Talking about the Super Bowl, they're trying to get the acts booked for next year's Super Bowl season just starting, and they're already looking ahead. How much do you think a Super Bowl halftime performer gets paid for their work on the Super Bowl halftime show? Your Beyonce or your Bruno Mars, or how much, what do you think they get paid to do that? Trick question. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. When you hold on and come back with us, Doug Gore from who's in the Reno, Nevada area is going to join us as well. Linda Eisenman's in studio. We're going to talk to her some more about what's going on down here in the Sacramento area. That's a big area. So Linda's it's not fair. We could pick any one of the zip codes and they all are a little different, but we'll talk in general.
That sounds good.
Did anything Paula say surprise you?
No, not at all. That absolutely resonates.
With what's going on? So they're not on an island up there. They're following the trend. Okay. So we'll talk about that. We'll see what's happening with Doug also in Nevada, because that won't be one that I don't do any Nevada work. I'm not licensed to do loans in Nevada, so I don't see what's going on over there. I just see what goes on Lake Tahoe, which is its own little world to itself.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, here's our quiz question. Chris, we'll take a quick break. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. You can text me at 441140. My question for you right now is the halftime entertainment at the Super Bowl. How much do you think they get paid to do that? This is Talkin' Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. Linda Eisenman and Doug Gore from Nevada is going to join us here in just a minute. We'll take a quick break and be right back, Jag.
Talkin' Money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
All right. A little bit of a trick question for you there this morning, and maybe a little trickier than I should have let on a little bit. But how much do the Super Bowl halftime acts get paid? Up until now, they have not been paid. And going forth, by the way, these are your three candidates. Chris, who do you want for this year? You got Rihanna, Katy Perry, or Coldplay are your three options for this year's Super Bowl halftime.
Coldplay.
Why did I figure you were going to say that? I'd rather look at Katy Perry than Coldplay, to be honest with you. But
well, then turn on your laptop and look at Katy Perry while you listen to Coldplay.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Fix-It. Going forward this year, the NFL has suggested to the three of them that we are not going to pay you, and maybe you should be paying us to appear on the Super Bowl this year. And why not? This is the fun part about the radio. Lynn and I have our own show in between the show, so we get to cover a lot of stuff. You guys interrupt us by tuning in and listening. But I was saying to Linda, what's the difference between Linda and Jeff Realty? We want to be on the Super Bowl. By the way, 112 million people will see our ad. They're going to charge her and I $3.5 million for 30 seconds, and we've got the money probably in cash. But for those of you who don't carry on $3.5 million with you, why shouldn't Bruno Mars or Beyonce or somebody else who's promoting their business and their concert tour, why should they get free promo? I mean, I'm talking about the NFL from the NFL standpoint now. So that's what the NFL's thought is like, we're not going to, if you want to be promoted, you can pay. And that's the deal. So if you texted us, 916-529, you were the first one that kind of gets right near the ballpark there. Give us a text back with your name and address, and we will get some giveaways out to you as well. Joining me on the phone this morning, Doug Gore out of Reno, Nevada. Doug, how you doing?
Jeff, how are you this morning?
What's happening up there, up the hill?
Lovely day on Labor Day weekend. Lots of stuff going on here in northern Nevada.
Yeah, that's it. And you are on with Linda Eisenman and myself, and we've kind of been rolling around the county a little bit. Linda kind of represents most of Sacramento County down here, and we've been up in the foothills a little bit, so we thought we'd run up to the top of the hill and talk to you for a little bit before we come back down to Sacramento. So I'll be honest with you, I don't follow Nevada much. I don't currently do any business there, so I don't have any feel for what life's like for you up there. So maybe you can give us a little Reader's Digest version of what's going on up in your neck of the woods.
Well, really, real estate-wise, we obviously had the crash that California did, and we were very depressed for a few years. We kind of peaked in 2005 for single-family residences, and then really the bottom fell out. Probably it bottomed out around 2012, around the middle of 12. But we've seen a pretty good rebound, and actually it kind of started when Obama got back in for the second term, and then the taxes went up a little bit in California, and that's really our biggest market for northern Nevada is Sac and Bay Area residents moving. Now, the obvious tax reasons or tax benefits of Nevada are apparent. No personal income tax is really evident, but there's also, from a corporate standpoint, there's no corporate income tax, gross receipt tax, franchise tax, inventory tax. So a lot of people are moving their head offices. Tesla, big example. Northern Nevada is really trying to get Tesla here. So Nevada certainly has rebounded, certainly not to where we were in 2005 or 2006, but getting back to that, on the uptick. So things are healthy here in the Reno Tahoe area. Now, before you went to break there, you mentioned about Lake Tahoe, and Lake Tahoe is its own animal. Certainly, the Incline Village area is one of the wealthiest zip codes in terms of price per square foot in the world.
Right.
And it's a separate animal. But down here, things have been on the uptick. Even recently, from June to July, we had about a 10% lift in average price for homes sold in July versus June. The number of new listings was up about 7% in July over June. And most of those properties, $250,000 and under, make up about 45% of that new listing inventory. So,
and what do you get? What do you get for $250,000 in the Reno area? What does that house look and feel like?
Well, depending on where you are in Reno, if you want to be in sort of what we call Old Southwest or downtown Reno, that's not going to get you much. You may have to go to a condo or a home that was built maybe 70, 80 years ago. So if you bought it for $250,000, you might have to put another $100,000 into it. But if you're willing to get into some of the newer boroughs or newer areas of Reno, South Reno, you can get a 4-bedroom, 2,500 square foot home for that number, a home that's maybe 10, 15 years old. So for a lot of people from California, certainly Bay Area people who sold their, 3,000 square foot home for a 7-digit number, they can come here and get that same 3,000 square foot home, or even downsize or upsize a little bit for a number that's half the price, or even a quarter of the price in certain cases. So, when you lump the tax benefits on with the cheaper home prices, the property taxes, it becomes a viable option for many Californians looking to maybe get out of the congestion and the taxes of California.
And who is your average buyer up there? Is it more your first time buyers, or more of these transplants from California who are downsizing and cashing out?
I'd certainly say in the higher end market, Jeff, you're looking at people downsizing from California, and they'll spend, they may not like the winters here, so they'll buy a home here for, I'll say $600,000 and up, and they'll keep a place either maybe Palm Desert or Arizona and spend part of the year there. But they'll make sure that they spend 6 months plus a day here, to get their Nevada residency. I mean, I can confidently say that people earning $200,000 of income and over, when it's all said and done, again, counting your tax savings, but also the benefits of property taxes, the cost of food, the cost of gas, you can save about 15% a year right in your jeans. So right at $200,000, that's about $30,000 a year going right in your jeans, and that's not chump change.
Right. I appreciate that, Doug. I want to be fair and give Linda some time down here as well this morning, because we're going to cover a little bit of Sacramento County. So, Doug, give us some contact information for you up there if someone's interested in Nevada, whether it's incline or over the hill in Reno. What's the best way to get a hold of you during the week?
Sure. I have a relocation guide I can just send people via email. You can look me up at DGore, that's DGORE, at DixonRealty.com, or Doug.gore.DixonRealty.com is a website.
Perfect. Doug, hey, I appreciate it very much on a Saturday holiday weekend. Thanks for the quick update up there. Tell my buddy Eric hello, and we'll talk to you guys soon. We'll do this again.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. So they're a little different. 45% of their inventory is under 250, but maybe 250 plus needs a little bit of work. Huh?
It sounds like it does. It was interesting to me, Jeff. He talked about people from California moving up to Nevada and living there 6 months plus 1 day. And
right.
Gosh, we have the same thing in Sacramento in terms of the Bay Area, and it just impresses me. And the Bay Area has the same thing in terms of London and New York City.
Really?
So, they're buyers. People in Hong Kong buy in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So it has become much more of a global market, than we ever would have thought of when I was growing up in the 1950s.
So it's easier because Doug seems to focus on the Reno market, which sounds there's certainly boroughs there. You talk about Sacramento, where most of our listeners here are listening to. When we have Sacramento doesn't mean anything anymore, because it's a conglomeration of so many different little neighborhoods. But so after you having heard what the other two had to say today, where do you think in general, where do we fit in down here? What are you seeing as a trend down here?
Oh my golly! Well, prices have definitely jumped. We are 50% higher now in home prices than we were at the beginning of 2012. So huge jumps over the last 2 years, and this year is continuing to climb. In terms of the market normalizing, last year was the first year in many, many years that we actually had a little bit of a decline in home prices over the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
Have not seen that, just forever. So it's either been steady, up, or steady, down. So kind of first signs of normalizing. The market has definitely slowed a little bit from what it was last year. Last year, a lot of competition to get in, and last 2 years particularly to get those rental properties,
mm-hmm.
because you could pay for yourself, you could pay for your mortgage by what you were getting for the rents.
Yep.
That is starting to end. Although there are those rare deals that are still out there. So
And you're seeing inventory starting to finally pick up a little bit?
Inventory is picking up. It's still fairly low in the $250,000 range. That's going to be competitive. But in your mid-priced range, in your $400,000, $500,000 homes, it is almost a balanced market. Still a little bit tending towards a seller's market, but the buyers don't act that way. They're treating it like a real balanced market.
Yeah. So that's where there's more available product in that price range. So if I'm a seller and let's say I have a house at $450,000, what do I need to know from you? I mean, I don't want Chris to sell his house first. I don't want you to sell your house first. I want to sell my house first. So what do I need to do?
Oh my golly, you need to call my stager. You need to call Michelle. Have her come over and absolutely deck your house out so that it's gorgeous.
You mean remove my furniture and put her nice stuff in?
No, not necessarily.
Or just rearrange and maybe remove some clutter and those kind of okay.
Yep, absolutely. You just need to make it look as much as you can. You need to make it look like a model home. Mm-hmm. In your price range, you're competing with brand new homes. So you want your home to look, but your neighborhood is going to be so much better than what you can get in a new home.
Sure.
So, yeah. So you've got advantages, but you want your house to look absolutely stunning.
What is staging? What does that typically cost somebody?
Oh gosh, if you hire a stager who takes all your furniture out and puts theirs in, that's going to be $500 a room.
Yeah, but I don't want to live on their stuff because I still got to live there.
You've still got to live there.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to go that route with staging. If you hire someone who is going to work with your own furniture and just make it beautiful, rearrange things. You're going to pay her an upfront consulting fee, probably under $200, and then just make that. She'll give you guidance. So for under $1,000, you can make huge changes and do a lot of the things yourself.
So give me an example of some things you've heard her say.
Oh golly, well, a pop of color in the front yard and in the backyard. Not only in your house, inside your house itself. Make the curb appeal just phenomenal. Put in some flowering annuals so that people drive up to the house and it just looks friendly and inviting. Backyard, the same thing. Make it look like you want to live there. You just make your house look totally relaxing, like you never have to do a minute's bit of work in there.
like you weren't just busting your butt the last 2 weekends before they open the house.
No, that's right. It's just, yeah.
And I've just people have always asked me, hey, what do you think I should do before I have the appraiser come out, or before I have, I want to have someone take a look at the house. And I've always said similar things without seeing the property, which is, my general consensus is that I think women gravitate right to the kitchen in terms of, is there cabinet space? How does this stuff look?
Yep.
The closets, is there enough place for my kids and all their stuff? And the guys seem to end up out in the garage or the yard. Oh yeah. So I always tell people, get a storage unit.
Yes.
Get one open. Get all your winter crap out of the house.
Yeah.
It's 108 degrees outside. Free up your closets. All the stuff all the pet projects you're planning on working on. Get them out of the garage and get them in the storage unit. Yeah. Make it, like you said, make it look like you live there, but it's not lived in. So because I think people want to be able to envision what I would look like. Yes. In that house. I don't care about you. I want to see what I look like. And if your stuff's hanging all over the place and it's a big mess, people are gonna think, man, this place is too small. Look, they don't even have any closet space here. Well, they have 6 kids. You got 2. So there's some of that you have to just take some smarts, but right. And a lot of people, sometimes too, Jeff, sellers will go overboard. They'll think, oh my gosh, I have to take all of my personal things out of the house. I can't have any personal photos. Keep your house warm. Keep your house looking friendly. Don't make it absolutely stark. Right. Yeah. That's a great point. That's a great point. I think people want to come in and again, they want to envision themselves there. They're not envisioning themselves in a commercial space. They're envisioning in a house. Right. So that music means we have to wrap it up for this morning. I tell you, the hour goes quick. It does. Particularly when we're bending our back. So Linda Eisman, how do you want people to get a hold of you? Best way really is by phone or text. Either way, 916-838-4338. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Linda Eisman is with Dunnigan Realtors on American River Drive in Sacramento. And she handles all of the county, so feel free to check on her. And this show will be put up on our Talkin' Money podcast during the week, so if you missed something or some names, you can gather them there as well. And hope you have a great and a safe weekend. And when you come back on Tuesday, can we all get serious about finding that house now and getting into something before the holidays? Because you know what happens when Thanksgiving hits and then Christmas hits and New Year's hits? it's all downhill from there. We got to get you into something before the holidays start. So we're ready to do that for you. You can find me during the week at jefftarbell.com. Linda, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you again, and we'll do this again.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a great weekend. And thank you for tuning in. We'll catch up with you guys next Saturday, everybody. Aloha. See you.
Talking money.